Welcome to the What Now Movement Virtual Business Summit. I am Eric Twiggs, your procrastination prevention partner. I'm the author of The Discipline of Now, and I am the host of the 30-Minute Hour podcast.
And I am Dr. Sharon H. Porter, educator, author, publisher, and host of the I Am Dr. Sharon Show.
And I am Ted Fells, President and CEO of New Core Vision and also co-host of the 30-Minute Hour podcast.
So let's talk about why we, as the founders, decided to start this movement. So this pandemic has impacted you. It may have impacted your business, changed your business. It may have changed your job situation. It may have changed your situation at home. The question is, what now? That's the question. So we decided to put this movement together with the mission of building high-performance entrepreneurs, high-performance authors, and career professionals who are ready to deal with life's unexpected curveballs. Because here's the thing, this pandemic will pass, but there's going to be another crisis down the road, and we need to be able to adapt and prepare. And that's really the whole point of this movement. You can see our vision, you can see our mission, and we're aligned on these core values to build, to create, and to innovate. And this is all about community. We want to form a community where we can all collaborate and share these ideas and pool our resources and ultimately equip ourselves to take it to the next level, and again, to be prepared for those unexpected curveballs.
Absolutely. And we have a dynamic lineup for you today. We are packed from 10 until 3 p.m. today. And so we hope that you join us. We're going to kick it off with none other than Ash Shukla. His title session is Becoming a Pandemic-Proof Entrepreneur. He will present in between 10:15 and 10:45. He will be taking your questions at the end of his presentation. You certainly do not want to miss this. And next, we are followed by Matthew Horne. What do you mean you're bored? Write a book. Oh my goodness. Author and publisher Matthew Horne will be giving us some tips on writing and publishing. His session is scheduled from 10:45 until 11:15. Our first panel, we have two dynamic panels today. The first one entitled Adjusting to the New Normal, Business Pivots panel discussion. We have business owners, entrepreneurs who have had to adjust and some who have adjusted earlier so that they can make sure that their business sustains. We have husband and wife duo, Antonio and Martina Turner. We also have Marquessa Petway, Gina Young, and Sonia Powers-Waddell. So you certainly do not want to miss this panel discussion. It will be from 11:15 to 12:15. Our afternoon lineup does not disappoint. We have presenter Mary Abajay. Her title is How to Advance in Your Job in a New Virtual World. Author, speaker, she's going to let you know how to manage up. Our second panel is mental health, and we know that health is certainly our wealth. These individuals will come to you, Andrea Lopez, April Lewis, Kim LaMontagne, and Sharon Lawrence, on mental health and what we need to do to make sure that we're keeping our mind healthy. Attorney Elsa W. Smith. She's going to present 8 tips for estate planning for business owners. I tell you, you know that this is an important topic and you certainly do not want to miss it. We're going to end up with Ms. Angela Floyd, enrolled agent and partner of Intelligent Tax Solution. Her session is entitled Business and Personal Finance. She's going to walk us through some dynamic tips on how to keep our business and personal finances above waters.
As you've heard, we have an exciting, jam-packed day. We're excited about you all being here. We want you not only to participate in the summit by asking questions during the session and even at the end if you'd like. But we want you to follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have at What Now Movement on Facebook, the What Now Movement in LinkedIn, and at the What Now Movement in Instagram, as well as our website, which is www.thewhatnowmovement.com. We appreciate you all taking this time out to support, to join today and to be a part of the movement.
So our next presenter, he's an author and motivational speaker. He's a native of Prince George's County, Maryland. He's the author of 7 books, his 2 latest being The Successful Dreamer, How to Unapologetically Live Your Truth, which was released in January of 2020, and his brand new book, How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women, which was released in April of 2020. His message of creating your life according to your vivid destiny pictures has spanned the globe through mediums such as the Washington Post and countless radio and television outlets. He also owns a book publishing company and a public relations company exclusively for authors. To learn more about him, visit www.matthewchorne.com. Please join me in welcoming to the virtual stage, Matthew C. Horne.
Thank you for having me on the What Now Movement Summit. I'm really appreciative to be here today. And thank you, Eric, for the great introduction. And to the listening audience, it's great to be in front of you all as well. And today, I want to talk about book publishing. The title of my presentation will be Strategies for Writing, Publishing, and Marketing Your Book. And once again, my name is Matthew C. Horne. I'm an author and a motivational speaker. I'm the owner of Optimum Success International, which is a self-development company, which I provide motivational speaking, training, and I do my books under that company as well. Then I have a company called Lightning Fast Book Publishing. And this is a company where I sign authors and I publish their books in 3 weeks. Yes, I show them how to write their books and we get right off to the races. And when they're done writing, we publish the books in 3 weeks and provide global distribution. And my third company is Matthew C. Horne Author PR, Marketing, and Management. What I do with this company is I take authors and I keep them active and I keep them in front of the public on a consistent basis. So I make sure that they're inundated with book signings. I make sure that they're always in the public eye, television, radio interviews, and I just put them in position to really get their names and keep their brand in front of the public on a consistent basis. Okay, but once again, today's presentation is titled Writing, Publishing, and Marketing Your Book. And I want to make this real. Some people don't think that authors are actually still doing well in the pandemic. And I'm here to tell you as an author that there are many authors who are still doing very well. Think about it. You have a very stagnant audience right now. People are sitting still, and that's a great thing. And they're waiting to encounter books just like yours if they're readers. So I'm going to go through my collection of books right here, just to make this real for you. And I want you all of the prospective authors on this line, I want this to become real for you right here. So see yourself in my titles. My first book is The Universe is Inviting You In. And this one came out in 2007, and I wrote that one straight out of college, and it's about discovering your purpose and not being afraid to live your dreams. The book that I wrote after that is All We Have Is Now. And this particular book talks about our power to create new beginnings. Our genesis in any moment that we declare it to be. And that's what the book is about. Not waiting on opportunities, but embracing your power to create your own. Then we have Choices, the Young Black Man's Guide to Successful Living. With this book, I give young Black males a very clear picture of what's possible for their lives. So forget CNN, forget the media, forget the statistics. There's endless possibility in every young Black man. Then we have my book, How to Get Beautiful Women and Everything Else You Want from Life. It's a motivational book based on my dating experiences, and I show people how to master the real conversation, which is the one that doesn't physically take place. And I also tackle male and female interaction dynamics and give strategies to get the outcomes that you want in relationships. My next book that just came out January the 2nd is The Successful Dreamer, How to Unapologetically Live Your Truth. In this book, I go through the stages of the dream pursuit, and this book is catered to the dreamer to show you everything that you will encounter at every stage of your dream pursuit, and ultimately how to make it to your place of breakthrough and how to make it to your place of overwhelming and consistent breakthroughs, how to make it to that place when it's your time, meaning that there's an overwhelming amount of breakthroughs that are taking place on your behalf that logic cannot explain. That's when it's your time. So I'll show you how to successfully live your dreams. Then we have my latest, How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women. In this book, I show Black women how to calibrate themselves to the type of man that they can build a healthy life with. And it's strategies on preparing for the right type of man. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, I want to get into the presentation. Okay. Once again, people are still buying books. So don't think that your book will be unrecognized if you actually put it out. Okay. So the first thing that you want to do when it comes to your book is many of my clients, they have different titles that they're playing around with. They have different subject matter that they're considering in terms of writing their books. But what I do is I help my clients to pinpoint which one of their topics that they want to write about is most ready for the market. You always want to take the subject matter that is going to be most relevant to the day and age and to your reader, and also the subject matter that will allow you to connect with your reader. You know, you always want to put your best product out there. Okay, so you want to narrow your subject matter down, and then you want to title your book, of course. That's very important. But what I do through my company, Lightning Fast Book Publishing, is I show authors how to write their books through an outline system. And what's beautiful is that if you outline your book the right way, it will literally write itself. So the first thing that you want to do when you narrow your book down and you have your title and you understand what you want to write about is go ahead and begin to outline your book, okay? I recommend a minimum of 10 chapters. Anything beyond 10 chapters is great. It's going to give you the length of the book that is going to be respectable. You want to get your book, you know, your first one to, I would say 120 pages minimum, so that it's actually respectable and you can command the type of money that you want per copy. Okay, so you want to, you know, do your chapter titles, and then after you have all of your chapter titles, you want to create detailed bullet points that address every piece of subject matter that you want to write in that chapter. That's how you outline your book in a manner that it will write itself. Okay. And I encourage my clients and I encourage the readers here today, write your book organically. You know, some chapters are going to have more bullet points than others, meaning that some chapters, when you write them, are just going to be longer than others, and that's perfectly fine. But what's going to happen is after you outline your book and you begin to write it, you're going to get to about chapter 2 or 3. You're going to, oh man, you're going to, you know, be at 25, 30, 40 pages. Like, I'm really writing a book. That's when it starts to get real, at about chapter 3 or 4. So, but if you outline your book the right way, then you'll be okay. I've seen a lot of my clients, they've been, you know, writing books for years, starting and stopping, and just haven't had that clarity of mind that comes from a good outline. So I want to emphasize the importance of having a good outline to really guide your writing, okay? And what you do is you write your book in order. You know, there's no point in jumping around. Write your book in the exact order that you outlined it. And with every bullet point in every chapter, write until you have nothing else to say, until you've exhausted every thought on that, within that subject matter of that bullet point within that chapter, okay? And once you do that, you just go to the next bullet point and you just keep writing, writing, writing. The bullet points are going to be the most important part of your outline. And if you go from bullet point, chapter to chapter, then your book will literally write itself. I've seen it happen so many times. On average, when I show an author how to write their book through my company, Lightning Fast Book Publishing, on average, and these are novice writers, these are writers who've oftentimes never written a book before. Oftentimes, I see them write books in as fast as 3 weeks to 2 months. My authors that follow my outline system, you heard it correctly. I've seen multiple authors write books in 3 weeks, and the average author is from 3 weeks to 2 months. And I want to make this real for you. There was a client of mine. I signed her 3 years ago. I signed her on December the 19th. It was literally a week before Christmas. She wanted a book out by Valentine's Day, which is February the 14th. And she was coming to me for a ghostwriter. And I told her that no one can tell her story as accurately as she can. And in addition to that, if she wanted to get her book out in under 2 months, that she was going to have to write it, and she was going to have to write it very quickly. But I told her to just trust me and trust the outline system that I was going to give her. So we did the agreement. I gave her the outline system, and we were fighting the clock. So what I ended up doing was we created 5 book covers for her in 24 hours. That's protocol when you sign with my company. The production starts immediately. We don't wait around. So she wrote her entire book in 3 weeks, following my outline system. And I just want to make sure that no one has any excuses. This young lady was, she had a newborn child, and she was an anesthesiologist. She was a doctor, meaning she was sleeping in the hospital, working around the clock on a very hectic schedule, in addition to juggling raising a newborn, a toddler. So she carved out the time, and she ended up writing her book in 3 weeks. And then we produced her book in 2 weeks. That's, cover design, editing, ISBNs, barcodes. I personally wrote her back cover. Every author that assigned to my company, I personally write their back covers as well. Built her website. We did everything in 2 weeks. So on February the 13th, she had thousands of copies of her books right there at her front door. And her momentum took her right into Essence Fest. She hasn't slowed up since. So I'm saying that to say, it's magical things can happen when you stick to your outline. Magical things can happen. And also, I want to address, sometimes you'll completely outline your book, and then, you could be anywhere, and a thought will hit you that's profound, that fits within the framework of your book. When that happens, always write that thought down. What I normally do is I just keep them as notes in my phone. Anytime that I have a thought that would be relevant to one of my books that I'm writing or could potentially write one day, I save it as a note in my phone. And then when you get to your outline, you can actually insert your thought wherever you feel fits best within the framework of your book. Okay. And when you're writing, this is something beautiful I'm going to share with you all, because you all are going to have this same experience when you're writing. Okay. When you're writing your book, you're going to have an idea through your outline and your bullet points of how each chapter is going to go. Okay. Always be open to your instincts. Okay. You may move in a different direction, that adds to what you already have within your outline when it comes to writing. You may have a thought, you may have a thought progression or an idea. When you're interrupted as you're writing, don't be afraid to move away from whatever's interrupting you. See, each chapter, each chapter in your book, you already have it figured out how it's going to go. But always understand and be open to the fact that each chapter is just going to go in whatever direction it's going to go. You're going to write within a framework of your outline, of course. That's how you stay organized. And, the reader will thank you for that if you're not jumping all over the place when you're writing. That's what the outline is for. But there are times when you had an idea that you thought was complete, but as you're writing, it's expanding. You're going somewhere. You're reminiscing. You're reliving an experience. Go with that flow and understand that each chapter that you write is its own experience. And I've just released 2 books in 2020. And man, it's something I've never done before. I've never really written 2 books back to back just like that. And one was released on January the 2nd, and the other one was released in April. And it was a lot of writing involved, but I had to literally lock myself away and just get the job done. And when it comes to writing, you have to make time to write. Though, if you outline your book the right way, this is the beautiful part about it. If you outline your book the right way, you're guaranteed to write at least 1 chapter every time that you sit down to write. That's the beautiful thing about outlining your book the right way. Okay, so get into that mindset that you can literally have an outline that will allow your book to write itself. The outline is the cornerstone of you writing your book. And The Successful Dreamer, the book that I showed you in the beginning, I wrote that book in 2 weeks. On average, it takes me about 2 weeks to write a book. Now, my next book, How to Be Appealing to Successful Black Men for Black Women, that one took me about a month. It's 19 chapters, 250 pages. And it took a lot out of me to write it. But what I'm saying to you all is, if you give it the time, the book will write itself. So always make time to write. And then another way that you write your book is sometimes you could be doing something, but you're inspired. Something is overtaking you. That's when you go and write. Those moments of inspiration create magical moments and magical chapters within your book. But when it comes to production, okay, that's the writing part of the book right there. You know, when it comes to producing your book, you never want to have a self-published book that looks self-published. You never want to do that, okay? You always want to make sure that your book has the look and the feel of a book that can sit on any shelf in any bookstore, okay? You always want to make sure that you have a high quality production of books. One thing I do through my company, Lightning Fast Book Publishing, every author gets a cover that looks like Random House or Simon & Schuster, a major New York publishing house that's created it. Our book creation is on par with that level, so that if you're sitting on the shelf, if your book is sitting on the shelf in a Barnes & Noble, in a Books A Million, there should be no drop off in terms of the quality, no matter what book is next to yours. Okay, so quality is very important. So your cover is going to dictate how your book is perceived. So you don't want a mom and pop cover job. You want to make sure that you invest in yourself and get a cover that's going to be very impressive. The next thing is you want to make sure that you have great editing. Okay, there's nothing like reading through a book and finding error after error after error. Okay, one thing that speaks to a high quality book is minimal to no errors. It's human beings touching your book, okay? So something may slip through the cracks, but even a reader who finds an error here or there can understand the quality of that book versus the quality of a book that looks like you handed it off to some friends and they handed it back to you and you didn't get it professionally edited. So your cover and your editing is very, very important. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have a very high quality book. And when it comes to producing the book as well, you want to make sure that you get with a company that has distribution, okay? You want to be able to get into any bookstore. And what that means is that if you have the right distribution, you can walk in Barnes & Noble and you can say, hey, I want my book on your shelf, or I want to do a book signing. They're going to go to the computer and they're going to look and see if you have a distributor, okay? If you have a distributor, now they can respect you as a major player within the author industry, within the literary industry, okay? And they'll give you a chance. You know, they may put a few copies on the shelf and see how it does, and you know, or they may call you in for a book signing. But the beautiful thing about it is when you have distribution, The books are already there because they've ordered from the distributor. All you have to do is show up and sign them. And you've already been paid from the books that they ordered through royalty money. And that's what distribution does. So, you know, when it comes to producing your book, you want to have it available on as many channels as you possibly can. Okay. So you want to always show up and do book signings. Okay. As soon as your book is finished, get out there and run. Do as many book signings as you can. Stay active in the media and find creative ways to always stay in front of your readers. Okay. Something that I've done recently is everyone is a lot of people are watching Insecure on HBO. It's Issa Rae's show. So with my new relationship book, I've been taking themes from Issa Rae's show and I've been relating it to my new book, and I've been making videos about it. So you have to be creative in how you present your books to your readers. You can present it in more ways than just showing up and doing book signings and hoping that people order through distribution. You know, you want to keep the message in your book fresh in people's minds, and you want to make sure that you're always in front of people. Okay. And the last thing that I want to focus on today is give yourself a chance. Okay. If you create a good book, give yourself the best chance possible. Now, what I recommend is that you produce your book independently. You get with a publishing company that will allow you to retain the rights to your book, but still give you the amenities of a major publisher. And let me explain what that means. Having the rights to your book means that you can print and sell your book anywhere that you want, and there's no middleman. Okay, even though you paid a company to produce it, you still want to have total reign and total freedom over the rights to your book. Okay, if you're signed to a major publisher, which is for some people, it's not something that I necessarily recommend. I've turned down many book deals because I understand the power of independence. But if you were to get with a major publisher, you would have to get a literary agent. That could take up to a year. Then from there, the literary agent will have to shop your book around. That could take up to a year. And if you actually get a deal, more than likely you'll probably get about 50 cents per copy. You know, they average about maybe $1 royalty, and after you pay your agent and the tax man, you're left with about 50 cents. So it would take for you to sell 2 million copies of your book to see $1 million if you were to go that route through a major publisher. And it's a lengthy process. And through the course of that, I've had authors from Simon & Schuster and Random House periodically come to me, and they want to get out of their contracts and actually get with my company, Lightning Fast Book Publishing. Because one thing that happens is not just low royalties. One thing that also happens is that they dismantle your book as well because they own the rights to it. So you may have had meaning and intent behind some things that you wrote in the book, and if it doesn't mesh with what they want to do, then you know, they'll just scrap your book and they'll just rearrange it any way that they want to, and you'll lose the purity and the intent of the message. So it makes sense to just publish independently. And you know, if I can be of service to you through my company, Lightning Fast Book Publishing, you know, please let me know. And I see we're here for questions. So if you want to get in contact with me, you can email me at lfbookpublishing at gmail.com, lfbookpublishing@gmail.com, or visit my website, www.matthewchorne.com, and follow me on social media at Matthew C. Horne everywhere.